Louis and greetings, Social Studies majors. This is short-term 2020. Welcome to the new normal as learning in this term will be full online. This is your Human Geography class. I am your course facilitator, Herbert Corpuz. The first unit of this course deals with the basic concepts of geography. Please note that this presentation is originally created by Daniel A. Land and modified by yours truly. You may contact me through this Neo LMS class or through email account at corpus.bird@gmail.com. Unit 1 has 3 chapters. These include Chapter 1 on definitions, traditions, and data of geography. Chapter 2 discusses the various geographic tools, and Chapter 3 deals with the 5 themes of geography. Before we start with the content proper of this chapter, may I remind you of our learning targets or outcomes. These refer to learning expectations, be it tasks, products, performances, or any learning output that will testify how much you learn from this chapter. First, you are expected to define geography as a discipline, as a way to see the world, as a way to ask questions, as a way to solve problems, and as a way to communicate. Second, it is hoped that you can differentiate the 4 traditions of geography. These traditions include spatial tradition, area studies or analysis tradition, man-land or culture environment tradition, and earth science tradition. Third, this chapter is designed so for you to describe what human geographers do. Lastly, it is expected that you could develop a qualitative nomothetic question and a quantitative ideographic question. We now proceed to the first chapter of this unit on definitions, traditions, and data of geography. To commence, we ask, what is a geography? Is geography a trivia? If it is, does it mean that memorizing maps, weather patterns, and capital cities is a primordial purpose of geography? Of course, some amount of memorization of facts is necessary, but to think it's the focus of geography is a very wrong notion. Geography is a discipline capable of helping those who know how to use it to better understand a variety of subjects and topics. This means that it is a field of study that develops skills necessary to better grasp the meaning of different subjects or topics. Geography is a set of tools that help you ask questions, see patterns in data, solve problems, and communicate solutions. It allows us to be more curious or inquisitive about things that happen in the world. Similar discipline permits us to identify solutions to problems based on existing data. Geographers write books and publish scholarly articles about an outstanding array of subjects. The main point is for us to remember is that geographers can study almost anything and everything that takes place. What are we interested in? If it exists someplace, we can bet some geographer has studied it. It is a special and powerful way of doing things that provides unique abilities to gain insights often overlooked by others. The ability to read the landscape is the first skill of the geographer. It sounds simple enough, but advanced ability in landscape interpretation takes many years to develop. Generally, people are not aware that all landscapes, including both the human-built and the natural, physical environment, can be read, somewhat like one reads text in a book. With some practice, we can develop a measure of landscape literacy, which is the ability to read and understand a significant number of messages inscribed into the environment. All landscapes tell a story. Geography teaches us to see our land, to understand what we see about it, and enjoy what we understand from what we see. With almost 3 months now of quarantining, what have you observed in your barangay? What have you understood about what you observed? Is what you have understood worth of enjoyment or a challenge to do something? It seeks to understand the world better by framing questions and answering them especially. Geographers also have a unique way of knowing what we know. Epistemology is the study of knowledge, and because geographers have a unique way of thinking about questions and arriving at answers, they have a unique epistemology. Most of the time, people don't think about how they know what they know. We don't think about our epistemological processes, biases, and tendencies. Therefore, we don't often know how we know what we know. I just know it is how we might respond if someone challenged us on our epistemology. For scientists, social scientists, and other serious thinkers, I just know it is an unacceptable response. It's important to understand one's epistemological tendencies. We must know how we know what we know. Geographers have a very powerful toolbox of problem-solving tactics and strategies. The tools in the geographer's toolbox are their methods, and most of their methods are dependent upon their spatial epistemology or way of knowing. There are dozens of methods used by geographers today. This is partly because geographers have adopted many methods used by scholars in the sciences, social sciences, and the humanities. The scientific method is widely used by geographers, but humanistic methods, similar to those employed by historians or even art critics, are also used by geographers. Generally, geographers alter these borrowed methods so they can use them effectively alongside their discipline's spatial epistemology. Taken together, the methods and epistemology provide geographers with a series of methodologies or set of rules that govern the collection and analysis of a wide variety of data. For example, if a geographer were to survey students about a new campus policy, many of the questions included in the survey would be the same as those used by a political scientist, historian, or sociologist. However, a geographer would insist that the survey include a spatial question among the demographic questions. Instead of simply asking about each survey respondent's age, gender, and ethnicity, the geographer would likely insist on asking about each respondent's address, zip code, or at least hometown. Because you are reading this presentation, you have some command of the rules that govern the English language. You no doubt can write in this language as well. Another indication of your textual literacy is you can communicate with a written language. You probably are reasonably adept at communicating with numbers as well, so you are numerate or you have numeracy skills. Without these two key skill sets, you would not be in college. Geographers must be literate and numerate, but we also work to heighten our ability to communicate with non-textual, visual imagery, and or graphics as well. Geographers who can both read graphics and create readable graphics have graphicacy skills and are considered graphicate. Persons who can read and create legible, communicative maps are considered cartographic and possess cartographicacy skills. Map makers are called cartographers. Cartography is the science and art of map making, and it is the specialized language of the geographer. The ability to communicate vast amounts of information and or ideas using maps is an excellent skill to develop. In the last decade, thanks to Google Maps, Google Earth, GPS, and a massive increase in the value placed on spatial data by the government, military, and private enterprise, cartographicacy has blossomed as a valuable type of literacy. We sum up the definitions of geography. First, it is the systematic study of the spatial patterns of all phenomena on or near the Earth's surface. Second, it is a scientific and descriptive study of the Earth's surface. This is extracted from the discipline's etymological meaning, geo, which means earth, and graphia, which means to write about or to describe. Third, it is interactions between people and their environment. Geography explains how are we being influenced by our environment and how we change our environment through time. Fourth, it is a study of spatial and local variation. Geography explicates the interrelationships and interconnectedness of things on Earth, whether they vary or not. Fifth, it is the study of spatial patterns. Geography explains how things on Earth configure with one another, whether naturally or by chance. Lastly, geography provides a clear answer to the question, what is the why of where? For instance, what is the above a picture of? Why might it have been built the way that it was? Or, in this night picture of the Earth, why are some areas brighter than others? How would it have looked 200 years ago? So for us to understand a bit of the history of geography, we take a look to each of these important geographers and their contribution to the field. First is Aristotle, who was the first person to demonstrate that the Earth is spherical. Second is Eratosthenes, who accurately calculated the circumference of the Earth using geometry and was the first known person to use the word geography. This is Eratosthenes' map and his calculation of the Earth's circumference. Third is Claudius Ptolemy, who wrote a book called Geography and designed the forerunner to longitude and latitude lines. These lines we will discuss in the second chapter of this unit. This is Ptolemy's map in his book. Fourth is Al-Idrisi, who worked for the king of Sicily, this is in Italy, to create an accurate representation of the world. This is Al-Idrisi's accurate representation of the world. Fifth is Abraham Ortelius, who designed the first modern atlas entitled Theater of the World. This is the world's map in Ortelius' Theater of the World. Sixth is George Perkins Marsh, who described how natural systems are impacted by human actions. He is considered the first modern environmentalist. Seventh is Carl Sawyer, who argued that cultural landscapes, which he defined as the interactions between people and their environment, should be the focus of geographic study. Having learned a bit of the history of geography, how did the maps change between Eratosthenes and Ortelius? Why? Social scientists believe that geography is the mother of all sciences, or the queen of all sciences. To explain this, we ask, what fields of study exist in human geography? This flower diagram visually explains the different fields of study that exist in human geography. Cultural geography for anthropology, social geography for sociology, population geography for demography, medical geography for medicine and health, economic geography for economics, political geography for political science, marketing geography for business, behavioral geography for psychology, historical geography for history, geography of religion for religion, geography of language for linguistics, urban geography for urban studies and planning, physical geography for geology, biology, and climatology, human environmental relations for environmental studies. The different definitions of geography find its roots to Pattison's four traditions of geography. In 1964, this professor at the University of Chicago countered the idea that geography was an undisciplined science by saying that geographers had exhibited broad enough consistency such that there were four distinctive but affiliated traditions of geography. The first tradition is spatial tradition or locational tradition. This tradition defines geography as the study of spatial tradition of natural and cultural features on the Earth's surface. Some core concepts of this tradition include mapping, spatial analysis, boundaries and densities, movement and transportation, quantitative techniques and tools, such as computerized mapping and geographic information systems, central place theory, areal distribution and spatial patterns. In other words, geography is not just where things are, but our perception of where things are. The second tradition is area analysis tradition, or also termed as area studies or local tradition. This tradition defines geography as the study of an area on the Earth at either local, regional, or global scale. Some core concepts of this tradition are description of regions or areas, world regional geography, international trends and relationships, and how regions are different from one another. Looking at facts such as religion, language, race, climate, and population of a certain region is area analysis tradition. The third tradition is culture environment tradition. It is also called human environmental, human land, or man land tradition. Core concepts under this tradition include human impact on nature, impact of nature on humans, natural hazards, perception of environment, environmentalism, and cultural and political and population geography. The relationship between humans and the physical environment, as most often taught in school, is an example of this tradition. The fourth tradition is Earth Science Tradition, which defines geography as the study of natural phenomena from a spatial perspective. This is popularly known as physical geography. Core concepts under this tradition include lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere, and biosphere, Earth-Sun interaction, and other related physical landscape of the Earth. Geography has two main branches, human geography and physical geography. What are the differences between the two branches of geography? Look at this image. What characteristics of this image would a human geographer notice? How about a physical geographer? How about this image? What characteristics of this image would a human geographer notice? How about a physical geographer? This two-column chart shows the difference between physical geography and cultural or human geography. The chart clearly explains that the former is the study of the natural landscape of the Earth, while the latter is the study of the human landscape of the Earth. Human geographers ask, where are people located? What are people like? What are people's interactions over space? And what kind of landscapes do they build? Having noted that geography is a discipline or a field of study, what kinds of data do geographers use to explain anything on the Earth's surface? Geographic data may be considered qualitative or quantitative. Qualitative data can be observed and recorded. This data type is non-numerical in nature and is collected through interviews, conducting focus groups, community immersions, interpretations of texts, and other similar methods. Examples of qualitative data are citizenship, state of origin, and ethnicity. Quantitative data are measures of values or counts and are expressed as numbers. Examples of questions that generate quantitative data are how many, how much, how often. Geographic data may also be described as hagiographic or nomothetic. Hagiographic data refers to facts and figures distinct to a specific place or region. This data is largely represented by an approach called regional geography. Nomothetic data pertains to concepts that are universally accepted. Using this as an approach will allow geographers to discover generalizable patterns or even laws that describe or govern a society. We do an exercise. Try to develop a qualitative, nomothetic question about the populace of our school. For example, what is the common practice of our students that makes them distinctively Louisians? How about developing a quantitative ideographic question about the populace of our school? For instance, how many of our students are non-Christians? Congratulations for completing Chapter 1 of the first unit of our Human Geography class. If there are questions for clarifications or supplements for better understanding of this chapter, please make use of the forum section of our NEO LMS class.